Hi there. In this short series, I'm going to be discussing equipment rather than books, just as a kind of add-on for all of you who've been following this channel since we started. On the forum, Combatives community, we I've been talking about equipment for quite a long time, all aspects of it. And I thought it just might be of interest to talk about some of it. We won't really go into weapons as such, but just other bits of interesting equipment. And we'll start off with flashlights in this segment. Now, until the 70s, flashlights were rather flimsy. They were either made of plastic or rubber over metal, and the bulb was very fragile and it didn't emit much in the way of light. That's what we had, and that's what we were stuck with. And it was in 1978, I was talking to a friend of mine who was an instructor at Hereford. We're having a cup of tea, and he casually mentioned a Streamlight, and I asked him what that was. And it was a flashlight, or torch as we used to call it, that was bolted onto the MP5, and the mechanics had rigged an extended Pressel switch so that the flashlight would be aligned with the bore of the weapon and could be operated with the thumb or finger of the non-shooting hand. Very, very good for low light work in the CQB environment. The problem was, this was 1978, and they were £70 each, and I nearly fell off my chair and dropped my cup of tea. £70 for a torch back then. Then, very, very shortly after, some companies in America, mainly in California, started developing versions of the SL20, the Streamlight, at a much more affordable price. And it was in 1982, I was working in Miami on a protection job. I was doing the advance first, and awarded myself some time off. And myself and a colleague, we jumped in a cab and we went to a gun shop. I was on the Tamiami Trail, and stocked up on kit that you couldn't really get back in the UK. I remember buying Pachmeyer grips for my Star PD there, for example, I think. Certainly for some of the weapons I had. But the main thing, and the reason we went, and all of the guys on the team ended up buying, were the Maglites, the 4-cell Maglites. And this is the actual one that I bought. And this was probably the first Maglite to be brought into the UK. And I used it for a long, long time, ever since. You may notice it's got a rubber sleeve. Pachmeyer, who made the grips I was talking about, they sold this sleeve to go on flashlights. And what it does, it enhances the grip a little bit, and also in cold weather. You're not gripping the freezing cold aluminium of the flashlight body. I cut a piece of it off and stretched it over the head as well, just to cushion it a bit, because originally these flashlights, or the whole family of flashlights that came out, they still had the incandescent bulbs, which was still subject to impact. Although the design made them much more sturdy than the original, the old ones that we had back in the past, they were still rather fragile. So I put some rubber on there. Okay, so that was it. It's still, I have it in my front hall in case of a power cut. I replaced the incandescent with an LED head, only fairly recently actually, and wow, it made a real difference, and it's put new life into this flashlight. As you can see, I've got some this is actually light emitting tape. It glows in the dark, and so you can find the flashlight when you need it in the dark, because that's when you need it. from then on, I didn't bring it out, but mini Maglites came out, which were small, compact ones, and we all loved them as well. You could carry them much more covertly when you're working suited and booted. And I remember I was with a client in Harrods, and I saw mini Maglites on sale as a kind of yuppie toy, and I realised they had really arrived. But then the next real development was Surefire came out with their compact flashlights, and this was the first one I got, and I think I was given it as a present in America. I expressed an interest in them, and a guy said, I've got a spare one. This is the 9P, which takes 3 of the CR123 batteries. And it's a great flashlight. I used it for quite a long time. It hasn't got any batteries in at the moment. You'll notice this device here. This is, I think, I can't remember what it's called, Thyrene or something. The idea of it is it enables you to manipulate things when you've got the flashlight in your hand. But you can see this is supposed to be a belt clip, and it's the wrong way round. You say, well, just put it on the other way, but it doesn't work that way. There's a lip here that seats into the switch cavity there. So if I was going to carry this, I'd cut that off. The other thing it's got is you may see this strike bezel, which is serrated. And the idea is you can use the compact flashlight as an impact weapon. I don't really see it as that. I mean, the old Maglite, which you used to hold in this grip, and you could use it as a weapon, and it was very effective. In my opinion, it's the most effective short impact weapon. It's got 4 batteries in, quite heavy. But I was talking to a chap in Georgia, a police instructor, and we were talking about flashlights, and he said, thank God we moved away from those Maglites, because every time an officer hit somebody with one, it was $300,000. And no questions asked, we used to just pay up. You know, hit someone on the head, no matter how, this is when it was justified, they'd pay up. So when these things came along, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. This strike bezel is actually removable, it screws off. It makes it an offensive weapon in the UK and also for aboard aircraft. If you try to go through airport security in all the major countries, they know what this is. They have manuals with all this stuff in, and they won't let you on the flight with it. So it's useful to have a flashlight on an aircraft just in case of various emergency situations, and I'd rather have the flashlight as a light, as a source of illumination, than as a weapon. So that's just a point on that. The next development was this one, the real compact flashlight, the Defender Executive Elite E2D. And there was a shorter one which has 1 battery, and this has 2, and I found the shorter one too short, to be honest, for in the hand, and it doesn't really conceal any more than this. So I love this. This is a fantastic piece of kit. This is actually the flashlight I fly with. It goes in, I have a Galco belt pack when I'm flying, and this goes in one of the little pockets on it perfectly. It's also got a clip here, which I can use if I want, and it's a wonderful flashlight. I'm not demonstrating the illumination on any of these because it would just white out the camera and it wouldn't mean anything, but you know, they are bright. This one, as you can see, has got a red lens on it, and which is removable with this rubber. This is because I use this on the range for night training, And as the instructor should have a red lens, and you can go along and check that people have safely holstered and whatever, and if there's a problem and so on, without destroying people's night vision. Surefire make terrific flashlights, and this one is one of my favorites. A really nice pouch for it, which is an aftermarket one, which I picked up somewhere. Then I was going on a night shooting training course, and I decided I needed a specific flashlight, and I bought this one. This was from the wonderful people who brought us a global pandemic, very inexpensive, and I took it to the training in the States, and not really the ideal. In fact, it was completely wrong, because it's got a reverse click switch. So what happens, unlike the Surefires, where you hit the pressel and you get light, and if you hit it hard, it'll lock on. This, you hit the pressel and nothing happens, you get a click, and then when you release it, the light comes on. So I was coming up, illuminating, clicking, getting nothing, releasing it, and by this time the target's gone or the whistle's blown or whatever. It was, I suppose you could get used to it, but it's very unwieldy. Not bad illumination, but just I binned it and used my E2E. The reason that I needed a flashlight, I wanted to try a new flashlight. I wanted to try out this. This is a Graham rings, designed by Mac Graham, who was a Federal Air Marshal when he designed this, and he used this during his training and flying missions as a FAM. And then he later went working for another government agency, and very well known in the training community. Ideal for helps you to extract the flashlight, and if you have to do a malfunction clearance on the weapon, a magazine change, open doors, whatever, you can manipulate with this, move people, and the flashlight's in your hand. If you get knocked to the floor or something and you fall down, then you still got flashlight when you close your hand. So I really recommend this. Nice piece of kit. Okay, the pouch, which this happens to fit, was from an earlier Surefire I had, which was the 6 Zulu, which was specifically designed for the Rogers grip. And I picked one up at an ILFE conference in America at a very, very decent price. Nice flashlight, Surefire again, but I didn't like the Rogers grip. For shooting it, I think it's a competition only technique, and it's not one that I favoured. I favoured Harry's position mainly. So I swapped it for a different flashlight, but I kept the pouch, and it's a very useful and sturdy piece of kit. It's got a sliding adjuster here that you can change for different belt widths. It's a little bit bulky for covert carriage, but for a uniformed officer, it's ideal. And for training, it was okay as well. So that was that one. And then following that course, I decided I did need a specific flashlight as a shoot light, and I did an article about it, and this is the one that I hunted down, and it's called a Thrunite. What you want for a shoot light is one that when you hit the switch, you get the maximum illumination as a default. If you want to use it for something else, just for routine illumination or navigation tasks, then, and you don't want it to be so bright, then you should be able to dial it down after that. by a specific technique. And in this, it's this little switch here that does it. It also gives you the strobe if you want it. We'll talk about strobes just now. So if you need to illuminate, you get the maximum beam, and this is it's the brightest flashlight I've got. It's got a setting called turbo, and you can set that as your default setting. Now, Kelly McCann showed everyone the idea of carrying one of these in your hand at night if you're in a dodgy area, and if you're surprised by someone steps out of the dark, bang, you hit them with this. You're behind a curtain of light, you can be getting ready to access a weapon or what. If it turns out it's not a threat, then it's no harm, no foul. They don't see anything. Okay, this is the modern equivalent of the medieval dark lantern technique, which I talk about on the forum. You'll notice there's this rubber handguard, which is a aftermarket add-on I got. I was really pleased to find this. And as you grip the flashlight, it just goes over your hand, and again it gives you the ability to manipulate, do whatever you need to do, magazine changes and so on. Or if you're operating with a hideaway knife as well on the flashlight, you can do that. The pouch for this is not a dedicated pouch for this particular flashlight. It's just one I found online, and it said it fits flashlights of this size, so I gave it a whirl, and it's absolutely ideal. It really does fit well, and it's got this rubber retaining band that goes over, so whatever the size of the barrel is, it changes, and you just flip it as you're drawing, and you can access the flashlight. It is, like the Surefire pouch, a little bit bulky, but again, for training it's okay. Then it's always possible to get a smaller, neater Kydex or a Kujura pouch for COVID cards, or stick it in your pocket if need be. So that's that. And another flashlight is the Phoenix L2D. I've been carrying this for about, I think, 12 years, maybe a bit more. It's my, what people tend to call EDC, everyday carry flashlight. I have this whenever I leave the house. I just tuck it in my belt, put the lanyard over the belt, and I don't need a pouch for it. It's not a tactical flashlight as such. It's got different two settings and strobe, etc. Now we'll talk about strobe. Some people think it's the most wonderful thing ever, a strobe, and if you hit somebody with a strobe, it will disorientate them, put them into a fit, and jobs are good. In my opinion, everything fails. You know, you can't rely on that. Is it a good thing to have? Possibly. It's a good thing to have the signaling, for example. I remember Clint in South Africa with the police was telling us he was, they were in a rather remote area, and they called for backup, but they couldn't find them, and he could hear the cars and see the lights in the distance going around it, and a strobe bouncing off the trees or whatever would have helped. And I used to take my 24/7 Innova, and which has different strobe settings, and I have it on my Bulletproof when I was working with the guys over there. It's just a useful piece of kit. But this, as I say, I really like it. It takes normal batteries, AA's, and it cost me $32, I think, $32 when I bought it. And it doesn't owe me anything now. It's really, really good piece of kit. Then, most specific piece of kit is this, again from China, £3, £3. Little flashlight. It's cheap, works. It does the job. This is what I call a bloodlight. It's blue. It's got a blue filter on, and if you're doing a first aid problem, and you need to see where the blood is in the dark, blue shows up the blood. So I have that clipped to one of the trauma packs. It's just a little idea. To be honest, I haven't had to use it yet, but for £3, again, it's worth the money. So that's just a little overview of some flashlights, some ideas. I'm no expert and I'm not up to date. Surefire and the other companies are bringing out amazing products all the time. They're getting smaller and brighter. I think I maybe forgot to mention that I replaced the incandescent in my original 9p with an LED. LEDs are now state of the art, which is an inexpensive modification. And but the other ones, the Executive Elite compact flashlight comes with an LED, and so that was the thing on there. And people are doing modifications and making them into things that will burn the retinas of an enemy's eyes at half a mile and so on. It's all there. You can look it up. But that's just some of the stuff that I've been using for a number of years. Worked for me and does a good job. Particularly Surefire. I am a fan of them. They don't pay me to say that. I just have had good use of their kit over the years.